You're listening to Penguin Thoughts. These are the thoughts that penguins are thinking when they were thinking that they were thinking about the thoughts they were thinking when they were thinking them. That is, we think.
Well, hey there, campers, and we are picking up from where we left off yesterday. We didn't get to the second half of the Penguin Thoughts episode. We got caught up in watching nothing but the Tucker Carlson interview with Vladimir Putin, but I really wanted to talk about some other news, and really important news that happened this week, and that being the one of Gina Carano and Elon Musk have gotten together and they're suing Lucasfilm Disney. So let's just dive right into it, shall we? Not wasting any time. All right, so earlier this week, this is a post that Gina Carano put on her X feed, and it says, "Today is an important day for me. I am filing a lawsuit against Lucasfilm and Disney. After my 20 years of building a career from scratch, and during the regime of former Disney CEO Bob Chapek, Lucasfilm made this statement on Twitter, terminating me from The Mandalorian. Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media post denigrating people based on their culture and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. Nothing can be further from the truth. I agree 100%, Gina. The truth is I was being hunted down from everything I posted to every post I liked because I was not in line with the acceptable narrative of the time. My words were consistently twisted to demonize and dehumanize me as an alt-right wing extremist. It was a bullying smear campaign aimed at silencing, destroying, and making an example out of me. Yep. The thing is, I never even used aggressive language. I shared thought-provoking quotes, pictures, memes, and occasionally I used my own words, not with aggression, but with respect and the occasional comedy to keep the mood light in dark times. Look with your own eyes at what I posted and ask yourself, for example, where did I compare Republicans to the Jewish people in the Holocaust? I didn't. Ask yourself why they were calling me a racist. Was there any merit behind that or history of it whatsoever? No. Look at why I was called a transphobe. For making droid noises from Star Wars, beep, pop, boop, was obviously directed to the online bullies and did not in any way denigrate transgender people. Were my questions about masks, lockdowns, and forced vaccines okay to ask and push the subject into the light? Should we have been allowed to publicly discuss those topics at the time without being harassed or censored? Absolutely. We live in a country that is called free speech. We have the freedom to say what we think. We may not always have to agree, but we do have the right to say what we think. Hollywood says they support female representation and equal rights. While then were my male co-stars permitted to speak without harassment and re-education courses or termination. But I was not afforded the same right to exercise my freedom of speech. Yeah, actually, at one point she was, Disney wanted to put her in front of a Skype call with about 40 to 45 other people from the alphabet community. to kind of give her a struggle session type thing. Yeah, right. It was a form of, in my opinion, torture, humiliation, and just downright harassment. Anyway, artists do not sign away our rights as American citizens when we enter into employment. I have spoken to all my co-stars since I was fired, and there is nothing but care and kind words between us. I respect their right to free speech, and I do not have to think the same on every issue to be their friends and work with them, and I know they feel the same towards me. Yeah, see, adults have adult conversations, and those conversations don't always have to agree with each other. But at the end of it, as long as you agree disagreeably, in other words, you walk away amenable, saying, okay, you got this view, I got this view, we don't see eye to eye on it, but we can still be friends. We can still continue to have good conversations. Then that's being an adult conversation. It's only when you start acting like a 3-year-old or a third grader that you have to say, you have to believe the way I'm saying, where you like it or not, I'm going to stand here and hold my breath. It's childish. It's not mature. Anyway, a couple of months ago, Elon Musk tweeted that if you had been fired from using the platform X, formerly known as Twitter, for exercising your right to free speech, he would like to offer these people legal representation. Quite the noble offer. But never in my wildest dreams would I have thought anyone would take on my case against Lucasfilm and Disney. Still, I did respond back, I think I qualify. And thousands of people agreed, which I am one of them that agreed. But I did not expect anything. To my surprise, a few months ago, I received an email from a lawyer who had been hired by X look into my story and many others. Turns out, after sending them as much information as I could gather these past few months, my now lawyers and X believe wholeheartedly in my case and are moving forward. I would like to express my deepest gratitude and thank you to Elon Musk and X for giving me an opportunity to bring my case to light. As for me, I would love to pick up where I left off and continue my journey of creating and participating in storytelling, which is my utmost passion and everything I work so hard for. It has been difficult to move forward with the lies and labels stuck on me. Backed and encouraged by the most powerful entertainment company in the world. I am grateful someone has come to my defense in such a powerful way and look forward to clearing my name. Thank you to all the people who have supported me and made your voices heard. I pray God blesses each and every one of you. With love, Gina Carano. And of course, she even put if you have any questions for her or legal team, you can send an email to caranolowsuit@schaeferjaffa.com. Or if you got any relevant information that could probably use, that would be helpful too, I would think. Anyway, so let's look at, this is a YouTuber I follow that actually is in constant contact with Gina Carano. His name's Jay from Drunk 3PO. And about 6 months ago, he put this video up here, and I thought we'd watch it. It's about 2 minutes or so. It says, Elon Musk to sue companies that fired employees over social media posts. Gina Carano responds. This is actually a video in response to Elon Musk sending out a tweet about anyone that has been kind of wronged by cancel culture that's been on that platform. So here we go. As always, I got my profanity filter on. I don't know if Jay really uses profanity, but nevertheless, I've got it enabled, so we'll see closed captioning and stuff.
Well, if you're looking for a hold on to your buckets moment, I think we might have one right here.
I'm holding on to my bucket, Jay.
Just tweeted this out. It says, if you are unfairly treated by your employer, due to posting or liking something on this platform, we will fund your legal bills. No limit. Please let us know. He goes on and says, and we won't just sue. It will be extremely loud, and we will go after the board of directors of the companies too. Well, going back to the original tweet here, you could see it is just moving. You can see it moving live while I'm recording this video. Quote tweets and likes. And people were posting. Gina Carano was tagged in this thing multiple times.
This is back in August of 2023, last year. And I'm telling you right now, Elon Musk is not anyone that liked what's happening at Disney. He wants Bob Iger gone. I know that because of some of the comments he's made, even recently, even as early as this week. I mean, as late as this week, even.
And Gina has responded. She says, hey, I think I qualify. And yes, the likes and the quote tweets are circling, so maybe Elon Musk will see this. But I want to show you something else. Somebody else replied, Libs of TikTok, and they talked about Cara Lynn. You remember Cara Lynn? She was fired from limited run games because of who she followed and the post that she liked here on Twitter. And now she works for Eric July and the Rippaverse. So Libs of TikTok did this. It got tons of traction. And Elon responded, Cara, is this accurate? Cara responds, the situation is slightly more complicated than the headline, but yes. Is this the beginning of the end of cancel culture? I'm not sure, but do you think Elon Musk will stick to his word and say, yeah, I'm going to help these people out? Is Cara going to be the first one, since that's the first person that he responded to in this tweet?
Well, I do know, I mean, like we're talking about today, obviously Elon is helping Gina Carano. I'm hoping that maybe he also will help Cara Lynn as well, because she's not in the exact same boat, but she was canceled as well for her thoughts and beliefs, which is not right either.
Is he going to help Gina and go after Lucasfilm for what they did to her, for firing her for social media posts and all the hate mob that went after her for all those years? This is going to be interesting. I say sit back, get your popcorn, and let's see what happens. I know there's going to be more to this story. This is all that we got so far. It's 1 a.m. where I'm at. What do you guys think? What do you think is going to happen? Let me know in the comment section below. But this could get interesting.
Very much so, Jay. And I do have the court documents, which we'll look at about here in a little bit. I found them. There's a couple different places that were sharing them out. That it's like 59 pages that Gina Carano's lawyers drawn up to go in detail of the things that are being brought in this lawsuit against Lucasfilm and Disney. Here is how it all happened. From 2 years ago, this is exactly what kind of happened. If you didn't know, this happened back in 2021, I believe, when Gina Carano was fired from Lucasfilm. And she was not contacted directly. She found out, like the rest of us, through social media, which to me kind of indicates a very spineless move on the part of Disney and Lucasfilm that didn't even have the guts to tell her to her face that she no longer worked there. Anyway, let's watch this video from Jay again on this. This is from about 2 years ago, actually coming up almost on 3 years ago. And I've even got a video that I'm going to watch too that I made back in that time too, when this all happened. I've been following Gina Carano's situation since she got fired and what's been going on and so forth as well. I've not been as verbal as Jay has about all this, but I do 100% believe it's completely wrong, and I think this is awesome that finally Elon is helping Gina out to hold these companies, especially Lucasfilm and Disney, that is a woke company, holding their feet to the fire for their actions, which are not right, in my opinion. Anyway, let's watch this 7-minute video.
Welcome,
It'll give some context of what actually was happening in all this.
toxic man babies, to the Drunk 3PO channel.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Jay. So much news popping. This one just came out. It appears Gina was emailing this blogger, I guess, this news blogger. I will put the link in the description. You can read it for yourself. A lot of it goes.
That reminds me, all the links to the videos and stuff and the documents and everything that I'm showing today are down in the description of this live stream or video. So you can go look at them yourself if you want. Don't take my word for it. Check out things for yourself. But this is this video that we're watching right now actually happened during the time when Gina Carano was fired. So
goes through the timeline of tweets and everything that's happened, and we get to this point here where she reached out to Gina for answers. It says, I reached out for answers, and she began asking her about the anti-Semitic ideas and imagery, and Gina says, I was in utter shock and confused when certain people said it was anti-Semitic. She went to take it down, and she noticed that the image was not the same as the one people were referencing, and I was honestly confused. Should I take it down or should I leave it up? I still don't know the answer to that question, because taking it down only makes the mob attack you more. Absolutely. When if she took it down, it's basically saying you're guilty. You're guilty.
yeah, and this timeline, by the way, happened on Twitter back before it became X and before Elon Musk bought it. So all this happened when Twitter was a serious dumpster fire and was extremely big on cancel culture and on the left and everything like that. It's just been crazy. And we'll look at the posts that she kind of made during all this as well. That's all documented. The screenshots are all in the actual legal documents that in the lawsuit that's going against Lucasfilm and Disney. And it kind of gives a timeline of what's going on as well. But I thought it was kind of good not to just talk about what happened this week, but what got us to this point.
Guilty of being whatever phobe, whatever anti this, whatever they want you to be. It's an admission of guilt. It is a mission of guilt. She goes on to say, the image for me was a statement that people need to stand together and rise up and stop being so manipulated by the powers that believe they know what's best for you and playing games with our lives. My heart has only ever been ultimate respect and love for the Jewish community. And this is the crazy part right here. Go down to what Lucasfilm did. Gina says here, earlier on last year before The Mandalorian came out, they wanted me to use their exact wording for an apology over pronoun use. Their exact wording.
Yeah.
Here's the corporate apology. Boom. I wonder if it's the same one Star Wars Theory got from Pablo Hidalgo. Here you go. Corporate apology. How dare you? Like, don't say anything about pronouns. What's wrong with you, Gina? Maybe you should put them in your bio. Gina says, I declined and offered a statement in my own words. I made clear I wanted nothing to do with mocking the transgender community, and I was just drawing attention to the abuse of the mob and forcing people to put pronouns in their bio. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, exactly.
Where was Disney and Lucas? Where was Lucasfilm when she was being attacked daily by these people?
They just let it happen.
Daily. And now that
Lucasfilm
bent the knee,
these
Twitter mobs that have like 50, 60 bot accounts, they already know. All we gotta do is get a hashtag going, and we control everything. We control it. We control it. It's crazy. This is even sadder. Because of the pronoun thing, Lucasfilm response was to exclude her from all press and promotion for the show. That was heartbreaking, but I did not want to take away from the hard work of everyone who worked on the project. So I said, okay. That was the last time I was contacted about any type of public statement or apology from Lucasfilm. I found out through social media, like everyone else, that I had been fired. Not a phone call, not a text message, not an email.
Didn't have the guts to even face
we need
her.
to move on. It's just who we are, Gina. We're trying to keep this type of profile. We need to move on. Appreciate everything you've done. Your toys are selling like hotcakes. No one can get them. No one can find them. No, Lucasfilm was like, just throw it out there. She's on Twitter anyway. She's on her Instagram. You know, she's on YouTube channels. Just throw it out there. She'll see it. She'll see it. That is crazy to me. How you have a big company? How do you have a big company and not even give a courtesy call? Yeah. Not even give a courtesy call.
Exactly.
That you're no longer welcome at Lucasfilm. Get your
just
toys
somebody from HR
even.
even. That's
so
kind of their job.
When I found out, I was on the charity stream, and it came out. I was halfway through this charity stream, and boom, it came out.
Yeah, see, I mean, all the years that I've worked in IT, every company I've worked from, they've always had someone from, like, at the very least, if your boss didn't have the guts to tell you were gone, which I've only been let go once in my entire life, but I used to have to I've always been more of an IT trainer. I used to have to work with HR a lot. Hey, Tracy. Yeah, exactly. HR, that's kind of their job. And there was times to where I had to constantly, as a trainer, I had to let, I was in charge, when I worked for Compaq, I was in charge of training all the new technicians that came in. And I had to evaluate them for like 2 weeks. And if they didn't cut the mustard, then I had to be the one with HR to kind of tell them why and let them go. No problem. I figured you were in the background listening. I just felt like this is part of the Penguin Thoughts that I wanted to get to yesterday that I didn't get to because of all the mess that was with the live stream and how long it took me to get through that 2-hour-long interview. But nevertheless, this also happened this week with Gina Carano, and I felt like it's very important to go through some of this. But still, I agree 100% with Jay's here. Even just simply someone calling up and saying for 30 seconds saying, sorry, Gina, we have decided not to renew your option. You're no longer with The Mandalorian or anything to deal with Lucasfilm or Disney. And then have the post social media at a later point. But to say nothing whatsoever and for Gina to find out the exact same way I found out and everybody else on the internet found out, that's just flat out wrong. And it shows, just in my opinion, how much of a spineless company Disney and Lucasfilm has become, which is sad. Because they used to be a company that people loved, that I loved, that they used to be a company that we respected, that we when we thought of Disney, we thought of good things, but not this. This is crazy. And I just, it just still, even thinking back 2 years ago when this happened, it still kind of infuriates this little penguin. And I stand with Gina Carano. I stand with Cara Dune. Anyway, continue. Let's watch the rest of this. And then I'm going to show a little bit of cringe and show the video I made back around that time period. Boy, I sound weird too.
And I have been saying that. I have been telling people. Everyone's like, oh, no, she found out months ago. Oh, no, she found out weeks ago. No, I've been telling everyone she found out the same day. And people said, nah, Jay, you're dumb. You're dumb. You're dumb. There's no way. There's no way. Hello. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Lucasfilm. Well, this story is just getting. Whew.
Well, hopefully they're going to be taking the task
I don't know.
now.
What do you guys think? You think that was right of Lucasfilm to do this? Should they have at least given her a courtesy call? Should they at least come out with a statement? I mean, the fact that you're just going to throw it out on social media and be done with it, I'm just saying. And if you didn't know, like the backlash is getting crazy because now we got a petition. Some people started a petition. Just curious. Let's see what the petition is. Yeah, here's the petition, and it's loading. Almost 30,000 people and counting. They want her back. Gina coming out saying this about Lucasfilm, about their fake apology, about not even giving them the credit. I doubt that. I'm sorry. These things are great. It shows. It speaks to people. I'm sure they're gonna see this. I'm sure maybe. Listen. Never say never. Things could work out, but that's just who she is, man. That's just who she is. And you could say, Jay, listen, she should have followed protocol and done what they asked, and she should. Maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't control her.
I think she made the right decision.
Let me know in the
because
comment
once you go
section
down
below.
that slippery
What do you guys
slope,
think?
then you're expected to do it every single time.
Lucasfilm should have given her.
And I'm sorry, but we live in a country that our Constitution protects the freedom of speech. Not hate speech necessarily, but I don't believe what she posted and the stuff that she done that we're going to look at here in a little bit was hate speech. I think she was trying to get the bullies to back off, to try to bring attention to it, hoping that maybe Lucasfilm might step up like they have for other people that they have employed. I mean, anytime Pedro Pascal gets attacked or Pablo Hidalgo, they got people from Disney coming to their rescue, but nobody came to Gina Carano's rescue during all this.
The courtesy of a phone call. At least be a man or woman. At least be a freaking leader.
Yep.
And giving her a phone call.
100% agree,
You know
Jay.
Saying? At least be a leader of your company, Kennedy, and giving her a phone call and say, we're moving on.
Oh, by the way, shout out to Junk 3PO. I contacted him earlier this week to ask if I could use his content, and he responded within 5 minutes of the email. It was awesome. Like, cool. And he said, go ahead. And I think it's great. So shout out to Jay. I watch his content, especially his Pirates channel. He has a history of pirates. That's kind of cool stuff sometimes to go and watch. And he really has some in-depth conversations like that. But he's also a Star Wars geek like I am. So I think that's why also Gina Carano got on his radar because, she's in The Mandalorian. Well, she was. So.
It's unbelievable. I'm going to rant. I don't want to ramble. I'll ramble on a live stream. But there you go. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. The story is crazier and crazier. Wait till the toy video drops about her crazy toys.
It just gets more frustrating.
I can't keep up with this news. Anyway, I'll catch you next time.
All right. Here we go. Some serious cringe. This is a video I made back around this time. To actually Penguin Thoughts episode number 8. I shall be forever known as Rambling Bob. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I do ramble on and I rant sometimes too. When stuff gets stuck in this little penguin's craw, I just kind of have to let it out. I have to kind of give my 2 cents worth. That's why I created this podcast, Penguin Thoughts, so I can share these little penguins' frustrated thoughts, or really cool thoughts, or happy thoughts, or silly thoughts, or stupid thoughts. The thoughts that are, all kinds of crazy thoughts. Like, like this.
You're listening to Penguin Thoughts. These are the thoughts that penguins are thinking when they were thinking that they were thinking about the thoughts they were thinking when they were thinking them. That is, we think.
Yeah, I had to do that again. It just felt like I was talking about my thoughts, and I had to talk about what Penguin Thoughts really is. Anyway, I watched this just the other day when I found out about Gina Carano. I wanted to see what I actually said about this, and there is a little part of it I do talk about Gina in this, but this was back when I was really getting discouraged. This is shortly after the 19 bug and so forth. And yeah, Ramblin' Bob again. Yes, exactly. And this little penguin was getting serious for a moment. I was getting discouraged, especially when I saw what happened with Gina Carano and with other people being canceled and Twitter being a dumpster fire. And it just felt like things were going crazy. This is when woke was starting to really get into full swing and everything. So let's watch this, and I'm going to sit here and cringe on how bad I sound and how silly I am. Anyway, actually, I'm not really silly in this one too much. Oh, nothing worse than watching your old videos over again.
Hey there, campers. Bob here. And a lot of things in geek culture as of late has been really weighing on this little geeky penguin's mind, and I felt I wanted to share a few of my thoughts with you. So stay tuned, Bob the Penguin fans, as this little crazy penguin, sorry, but gets just a little tad serious for a moment.
Yeah, here's the old Penguin Thoughts thing.
You're listening to Penguin Thoughts. These are the thoughts that penguins are thinking when they were thinking that they were thinking about the thoughts they were thinking when they were thinking them.
I like
That
the new
is,
one better.
we think.
Anchor's not even a thing anymore. We think. Yes.
So, most of you who listen to this podcast regularly have probably noticed that I've just kind of went quiet for a bit. For good reason. With all the crazy things that this penguin has been watching humans do to each other in geek culture has kind of taken me back as of late. So I felt I wanted to share some thoughts from this little penguin on what he has been observing and to clear the geek air, so to speak. First, I consider myself to be a very geeky little penguin and into all kinds of geeky things. Everything from Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, video games, and comics.
Yeah, I say the word geek a lot for some reason in this episode.
I love Trek and Star Wars so much. It is the kind of sci-fi this little penguin grew up on. I remember the good old days of watching Tom Baker as the Fourth Doctor in Doctor Who take on the Daleks. As
He's still my favorite Doctor.
Nestling. Watching Captain Kirk, Spock, and McCoy figure out that alien creature, like the Horta, was not a monster, but just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And recently, as you probably have even listened to one of my podcasts I did on the upcoming season 2 of The Mandalorian, I was stoked for that show, and it was still so good. And still
it was.
And
I liked the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian.
The return of Luke Skywalker to save baby Grogu brought so much joy to this little penguin's heart.
Yeah, that was an epic
7
moment.
times large that day, like the Grinch's heart did in that Christmas thing. But
7 times large that day
have been happening and that I've been seeing from geeky culture as of late is sometimes confusing and baffling and downright depressing for this once little passionate and excitable geeky penguin. It's kind of the main reason for the silence in this podcast. Unsure of what to really talk about and how this penguin really feels or thinks about things that are happening.
Oh, yeah.
For
Kurt,
example,
Spock, and McCoy
just
are
thinking
epic.
about the awesome return of Luke
Absolutely,
Skywalker,
100%.
which was way cool, has now been replaced with the destruction, desolation, and firing of Gina Carano, a.k.a. Cara Dune. Cara
There we
Dune,
go.
like so many others, has become one of my Star Wars characters that this
Yeah, I really liked the character of Cara Dune. This was 2 years ago. Actually, almost coming up on 3 years ago. But I talk a little bit about it here.
little penguin grew to love in The Mandalorian and was looking forward to finding out more about her story continuing in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, she kicked
Her journey,
butt
so to speak.
in The Mandalorian.
With Gina's firing, not sure that's going to happen. Gina's firing has left this little penguin shocked, awed, and stunned. And all because of some weird human political thing that has started to replace good sci-fi stories all over King Geekdom. This penguin finds it hard to
Woke
understand
stuff.
for humans to have this need to use geekdom as some political platform for some agenda rather than giving fans a place to enjoy good geeky content and tell a good story.
Yeah.
As of late, this has left this penguin really starting to feel discouraged, and my geeky passion for all things geeky is starting to fade with all the human crazy culture drama with any and all of my favorite geeky stuff.
Now my passion is kind of turned into flat out a fight or flight response. And since I'm a flightless bird, you do the math. This bird's gonna fight, baby! Fighting for getting back good geeky stuff. And against this stupid woke agenda junk that's out there. Anyway.
Several times over the past few weeks, I had originally wanted to make a podcast about Luke showing up in the final season of The Mandalorian. Also wanted to talk in another podcast all about my thoughts on Ahsoka Tano, which is one of my all-time favorite Star Wars characters.
Yeah, I did originally like her in The Mandalorian, but then when they really butchered her character in the Ahsoka show. Obviously, this was made long before all that. It just goes to show this. Reason why I'm showing this is kind of showing the progression, at least from my standpoint, that it's been a slow destruction by Disney Lucasfilm of Star Wars, as well as Marvel and other properties they own as well. But especially Star Wars. And like the comment I made that I was going to make a video or podcast on Luke Skywalker's return, that quickly got deflated with Gina Carano shortly thereafter being fired. It just kind of took the wind out of my sails. Even though I don't really sail, I'm a penguin, I swim. But anyway, nevertheless, all this stuff has just started to get me down at this time, and it has taken me a long time to finally get to the point to where I'm just fed up, and this little penguin's gotta fight.
Wanted to talk about Rosario Dawson's portrayal of her in a new show called Ahsoka. But as
Yeah,
of late,
that show
even
turned out to be a bomb.
There is a rumor out there that Rosario Dawson may be next on the chopping block, like Gina was. All this drama and can't.
And actually, she finally did get let go. She's no longer, if the rumors I've heard are correct, Rosario Dawson's no longer playing Ahsoka Tano. And there's supposed to be Ahsoka Tano season 2 coming up, and I'm not sure what they're going to do with that.
Cancel culture, politics, agenda stuff is leaving this little penguin feeling discouraged and finding it very hard to feel any joy anymore for any of his favorite geeky stuff, let alone wanting to make a podcast or create a YouTube video on my geeking outedness. So, what am I to do? What are we to do?
Yeah, with Rosario Dawson, I don't know if she's been let go or if it's just because they decided to go a different direction with the show or what all's that about. I'm wondering if they haven't decided to maybe go back to make like season 2 like a retro version that basically goes back to like during the time when Ahsoka was during the Clone Wars with Anakin and so forth. Because supposedly I just saw something that Hayden Christensen is supposed to be returning for season 2 of Ahsoka. I don't know, but who knows with all this stuff anyway with Disney Lucasfilm. Just like it is with anything, especially what they produce, you have to kind of assume the worst, and we get lucky if it comes out for the best. But anyway.
Those are good questions. I've decided the only thing I can do is to keep fighting and hold on to hope for the return in geekdom to good geeky content instead of some human's ideology. It is hard and won't be easy because every geeky show I watch or read or enjoy is now met with apprehension and wondering if it's going to be a good geeky story I can geek out about, or am I just waiting for the next shoe to drop of yet another good geeky show ruined by some human's agenda?
Now, wait a minute. I got to say something. I'm a penguin. I don't wear shoes. So where to get the first shoe to drop and wait for another one to drop? It's got to be human shoes from Disney. Disney shoes dropping. Ew, they probably stink. They probably haven't washed them in a while. Anyway.
You know, penguins don't have politics. At least not like humans have politics.
That's correct.
It's pretty much a simpler life. We play video games, we frag fish, we spit ice cubes at the neighbor cat, enjoy geeky content and squawk with each other about it, watch out for predators while we're hanging out together on a beach, frying up some waffles to play badminton with later, and then give each other PHF for being such cool little geeky penguins.
PHF!
Wait a minute, what's that you say? What's PHF? Well, that's penguin high flippers. It's kind of like human high five, but with penguin flippers and way, way cooler.
It is way cooler.
What are we to do with this current
thing you
state
go
of
high,
geekdom?
high.
Quite literally, this little penguin just doesn't understand why the content he has been enjoying all his penguin life just can't stay the same and tell a good story with no ulterior motive, malice, or drama behind it. This week, for example, is the finale for WandaVision, and part of me thinks it's going to be great and leave more questions than answers.
Yeah, that didn't turn out right, did it?
Which is typical for the MCU stuff, which I geek out about big time. And so far, WandaVision hasn't been too bad either. Not the traditional thing this penguin expects from the MCU, but in the end, this little penguin is still torn. On one hand, I'm hoping against hope and trying to stay positive that the finale will be great. However, just like everything so far has been as of late, it always seems to come at a cost. So
this is back before this little penguin turned apathetic. I'm apathetic now. And I'm just fed up. I just want all this stuff to stop. I want my good immersion. I want my geeky stuff. Give me back my geeky toys. Stop playing with them and stop butchering them. I don't need to be painted pink and purple. Or having a giant rainbow mohawk. Anyway.
So this little penguin fears what cost it will be this time. This little penguin has been enjoying the first two episodes of Superman and Lois on the CW the last 2 weeks.
That's a good show.
I can't believe how hopeful and good it has been. It's a nice, fresh breath of fish air for this little penguin.
Yeah, fish air.
However, a part of me, way back in the deep reach,
Yep.
thoughts of despair,
Yep.
thoughts of potential disappointment,
Yep.
thoughts of concern and dread, just waiting to see if yet another geeky thing of his turns rotten at the hands of human politics.
Pretty much.
This penguin hopes not. Hopes against hope. Wants all the good geeky stories to return to him like a boomerang fish does when thrown at midnight at a blue moon.
Yeah!
So
Boomerang
this little
fishes!
penguin is just going to fight and hold out hope like a fish in the crosshairs of my quake cannon. Kablooey.
A bluey!
That fish has been fragged and hoping for the return of good geeky stories. I just hope that this little penguin doesn't start to get fragged back by the current cancel culture and politics that seems to be trying to destroy any and all good geeky content, or any human or penguin that wants to stand up for good geeky content.
Yeah, I said the word geeky a lot for some reason.
Well, I hope you Bobanites don't get all down because of this podcast. I just want to personally thank you for letting this little penguin share his deepest despairing thoughts on geekdom, and in the hopes to return this little penguin hopes on good content by allowing me to release all those disparaging thoughts in this podcast, and will hopefully re-energize this little fish fragging penguin to create more geeky penguin content and get back to making more great podcasts in the future for you. I guess if anything this little penguin would want you to take away from this most serious podcast is to try and stay true to your inner geeky penguin. Stay
Yeah!
hopeful. Stand up
My
for
inner
good
geeky
geeky
penguin fighting
content
now.
and fight against the human politics agenda and drama.
Yeah!
If that doesn't work,
Down with the
guess you
human
could always
wokeness.
just shoot some fish instead. They love being fragged.
They do.
This little geeky
I
Star
love
Wars
fragging
penguin,
fish.
though, does stand with Cara Dune and anyone else, for that
Yeah.
matter, who is suffering from any
I
form of
stand with
cancel
Gina
culture
Carano.
that seems to be in all of geekdom at the moment. These are definitely bewildering times in geekdom. Hashtag we love Cara Dune. Hashtag we love Gina Carano.
Yep.
Anywho, I think making this podcast was more for me to get my thoughts out there.
It
and
was.
hope
It was
doesn't
very
keep
cathartic.
you from wanting to hear more of my little penguin thoughts in the future. I promise they won't be so serious as this one was.
Nope.
And I do
try not
hope
to
you
be
decide
serious.
to come back and listen to more podcasts from yours truly.
Except
and
for
if
when
you're
it's
so
the
inclined.
human woke stuff.
I also have a YouTube channel where I make rather silly videos as well as other social media sites too, which are all linked on my Anchor podcast page. And would greatly be honored if
Which
you
is
would come
now
and visit
Spotify.
and subscribe.
It reminds
as
me, I
always,
haven't uploaded anything to
I am this
Spotify
crazy,
podcast in
geeky,
a long time.
silly little penguin named What About Bob. And I'm out the window because the door is shut. Later, peeps.
Okay. Some of that was cringe to listen to myself talk again, but in my opinion, it made some very good points that I still believe right now. At that time, I was still floundering on how far I was going to get upset about all this stuff. And finally, I think the twig just snapped. And now I'm going full penguin fight mode against this human wokey junk it is. Human wokeness, wherever it is. It's wrong. And I love to see the fact that now Elon Musk and Gina Carano are taking it to Lucasfilm and Disney for their stupidity. I'm not saying they're stupid, but their actions were stupid toward her. They weren't very mature. They weren't very adult. It's not how civilized adults act in this day and age. They're acting more like third graders than they are adults at this point. And I think it's wrong. I think it's silly. I think it needs to be corrected. And I hope this brings light to all this and they change and maybe go back to being a good company. It's not too late. Disney and Lucasfilm, if you're listening, you can make a difference. You can change what you're doing and turn this around and go back to the way Walt Disney had that company. Your fans out there still want that. Anyway. So, I found this actually late last night, and I thought it was kind of good to listen to this about, Gina Carano posted this because apparently she called in and talked to Glenn Beck, who's on Blaze TV. If you don't know who Glenn Beck is, he's considered to be conservative. But nevertheless, he has a talk show for a number of years. And I agree with some of the things he says and some things I don't. Nevertheless, I think it's good that he talked to her and they had a good discussion about all this. And the reason why I decided to play this is there's several parts in this where Gina talks about bringing in God in this too, and how she's trusting God with all this, which is really kind of cool in my opinion. Anyway, Glenn Beck posted, Rebel Ranger Gina Carano and real-life Iron Man Elon Musk have teamed up to take on Hollywood bigotry. Gina tells me, Disney put my life in danger and many people have come before me and fought this battle and nobody was paying attention. It breaks my heart that they didn't get the justice. And then she said, lovely speaking to you, Glenn Beck. So I thought we'd watch this and then I'll comment on it.
I don't think I need to really do a long introduction, so I'm not going to. Actress, former MMA fighter, Gina Carano. How are you?
I'm good. So, thank you so much for having me.
You bet. I have to tell you, I am so glad to see that you are standing up and fighting back against Disney and Lucasfilm for what happened to you. Can you just describe quickly that whole scene?
Well, quickly.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It was really interesting because for the longest time, for the last couple of years, I was just distraught, trying to rebuild my life, running into all sorts of, problems of trying to, recreate my career. And finally, I was like, I had to just give it to God and say, all right.
Yeah, I like that part.
You've got me in life. I'm going to keep going and I have to let this go, and give it to you. And, whatever justice I get, I know you're working behind the scenes for me. And then it was almost as soon as I did that, I got a email from a lawyer that was hired by Elon Musk and X to inquire about my case. And then I was just so excited, and I emailed him back immediately. And we started going through all of I just educated them, and I sent them everything I have to date, and I have a lot more to send them. And they're wonderful, and they are just excited, and they couldn't believe. They were kind of dumbfounded about how this happened. So that's the quick version.
Yeah.
So you've worked with everybody: Michael Douglas, Fassbender, Channing Tatum, Bill Paxton, Antonio Banderas, Robert De Niro, Ryan Reynolds. Have you had any support from these people, or are they afraid to come out, or how would you describe what your friend circle?
Well, that's not my friends. They're not my friends. They're
your coworkers.
They're incredible people that I've worked with. I've never had an issue with anybody, with anyone whatsoever. As far as actors go or crew goes, or for that matter, I've just not had an issue
Zip
on
'em if
set
you got 'em.
ever. I get along with everybody. But yes, to answer your question, there has been many people who I have worked with and who I haven't worked with that I've run into, not only just very well-known actors, but also very well-known producers, and actually people who are still working in Disney and Lucasfilm actively, they all have shown so much support every single time I've seen any of them. And to be very honest, I've not had one person from this industry come up to me and say, I deserved that. They're all saying the complete opposite. So it's just been kind of mind-bending that
no one deserves to be treated that way.
Lucasfilm and Disney couldn't see that as well.
It's not a sign of respect. What they did
contacted you, I assume they contacted you with this, or maybe they just said, "No, it's over for other reasons." But when you found out that you were being cut out of everything and your career was over because of a tweet that was exactly the same that your co-star tweeted, except toward the other side, did you point that? I mean, you had to have gone, guys, wait a minute, hold it.
Yeah, we'll get to see that in the document here. I'm going to show the document next.
This is very interesting, and I think it just shows what the company was at the time a couple of years ago. They didn't even contact me to let me know they were letting me go. They didn't contact me to let me know that there was about to be paparazzi stalkers and people flooding outside my house. I found all of that out just like everybody else did over the internet.
Oh, my gosh.
The fact that, and it was awful. It was, I've been trying to put on a really brave face for the last couple years, but I mean, I cannot begin to even describe. I couldn't leave my house for 7 days. I was being stalked. I was being harassed. They were coming up to I had to keep all of my blinds closed, and I had actually lost all hearing. I don't know. It's a very interesting, random thing. I lost all of the hearing. As soon as I was canceled, my hearing got clogged, and I could only hear 5%.
Was that kind of like, this is a horrible name for it, but hysterical blindness, where you are in so much trauma? It
really felt like that. Like, it felt like, either that or God just put earmuffs on me.
Wow.
I just was like, and so I really had to sit there in my head, and I really had to sit there in my head and just go over things, and it was quite it was torturous until I finally was just like, okay, I just gave it to God, and it was just such an intense time, and for them not to even warn me, I didn't live in a gated community, so I was just out there, and that wasn't, you think that somebody would have, just call me and tell me, hey. Thank you for all your work and everything, and we're just no longer going to work with you. And then they put out the statement about the denigrating people off of their religious and cultural beliefs and being abhorrent, and I was just like, it was just at the worst time possible. They really kind of, they definitely put my life in danger at that moment.
So what do you hope happens with this lawsuit? I mean, I'd love to see the discovery on all of the emails going back and forth. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. I hope that this makes a change. I hope that it makes a change in this industry, and it makes a change in people's hearts. The post that I got fired for originally, or what they said I got fired for, was never supposed to be what the media and all of them twisted into. It was supposed to be, do not demonize your neighbor. We need to look at each other as human beings, because the internet is one thing, but when you get...
Yeah, it's so hard sometimes. I would say that it could be misconstrued as by accident, but this, with what Disney did and Lucasfilm and what they continually did with her, this is no accident. This was intentional by them. They purposely misconstrued everything she said and twisted it to fit their narrative, to kind of demonize her, to kind of denigrate her, to kind of show her as, well, Gina Carano's evil and we need to let her go because of that. When in actuality, it's funny how that works. That those that have a problem with someone else is actually the ones that they probably have, that they're probably doing this stuff themselves. So anyway, I just find all this extremely frustrating, because this could happen to anybody. If they could do this to Gina Carano, they could do this to anybody. Don't kid ourselves. Even our government can do this to us. We live in a crazy world now, where you don't know what can happen. It's definitely 100% clown world in my mind. And it's like anytime I go out, I'm uber cautious about and try to be aware of my surroundings and who's around me and what's happening and so forth, because you don't know. You just don't know anymore. Didn't used to be this way, but it is now.
Get outside and you get around people, there's so much love, and there's so much, it's not the internet. The internet is false. It's a lot of people hiding behind, brave ideas and false accounts. And when you get to be around people, there's, we all bleed, red. We're all just kind of on this earth together. And so I hope that the outcome for this case is just to make, everybody kind of be a truly inclusive industry in Hollywood, and make it that much difficult to do what was happened to me to happen to the next person.
Yeah, it's people. I don't think people understand that, it's happening to people like you and, people all over the country who are in visible places. And I don't think people really understand, if they do it to people like you, why would they hesitate to do it to a nobody?
Exactly.
And that's the scariest thing, is they're not coming after the nobodies.
And just so you know, I'm a nobody. And I've had people make derogatory comments on videos I've made, or even a comment I put on Twitter, now known as X. Not to the same level as Gina. I've not been trying to be canceled yet. That may come. But I do know that once you get out there, people can. It's like what you were saying. People are different when they feel like they're comfortable in their homes behind a screen, as they would be. They wouldn't say this necessarily to your face or even behind your back in person. But yet they feel emboldened and feel safe that they could say wherever they want, be as mean as wherever they want online, and get away with it. And it's just wrong. It in my opinion, it shows the true intentions of someone's heart, and it's not right. And anyway,
alone, they're coming after names like Elon Musk, who I think they're trying to do the same thing to.
Oh yeah, yeah. We definitely.
They don't like Elon.
When they try to smear him as anti-Semitic, I was like, that's exactly what they did to me. They try to smear you as all of these key words: racist, anti-Semitic, transphobe, and it's really, they're just trying to squash down anybody who has the ability to reach people, to just to tell them, let's communicate, let's think critically, let's not just listen to what the news is telling us, and let's communicate with each other, because we have to, because everything is owned now by people who want to just grab more control.
It's really crazy. It is. I've never seen, especially with Disney, I've never seen such a wrecking ball taken, to their own corporation.
Yeah.
Like Disney has taken the wrecking ball to everything that they own and everything that they touch. This is
burning themselves down.
Right? It's truly a shame, because we grew up with Disney, and it doesn't seem like it would be that hard of a fix. It doesn't seem like, hey, you know what, we messed up here. They're so good at telling everybody how to apologize and get on their knees.
I mean, when I was raising my two little Goslin boys, I can remember a time when I thought the go-to stuff to watch was from Disney. I mean, it was good, clean, fun. It didn't have to worry about all this stuff that they're putting in their content now, it's you can't watch any of it that they've got without being concerned, and especially some type of narrative they're trying to push.
And say sorry. It's like, lead by example in this case. It wouldn't be hard to be like, to look at my case and say, hey, you know what? We did wrong there. Let's make it right. And,
yeah.
And then let's start reaching out to, really inclusive, like all people. It doesn't mean that they have to follow any type of political, side. They could just really include and appreciate the fan base that they had, that has just been completely betrayed by them. So I don't understand in those meetings
100%.
how it's just not like,
100% what she's saying.
We did wrong. Let's face up to it. Let's do something right here, and let's get our conservative.
Like I said earlier, it's not too late. Disney can turn this still around, but they got to stop doing what they're doing.
I don't know if they could at this point. I mean, once you've violated my family, beyond what they did to you, they're trying to teach my children principles that I don't agree with at all. And they've lost that trust that parents had.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Disney. It's safe. It's not safe.
Yeah.
And that's going to take them a long time to recover that. And a good step forward would be to correct this with you and others that they have wronged. When this happened to you,
nothing's impossible, though.
I know.
If they keep going down this route, they're just going to be considered evil. I have a massive ball to rock to push back up a mountain to get back a career, but I'm not looking at that saying, okay, I'm at the bottom again. I'm not going to do it. We have to constantly rebuild ourselves, and so do companies. So if they started now, they could, start pushing that rock back up instead of it just tumbling. It's just tumbling down the hill.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be fine in the end, especially since, when this happened, we weren't really ready as the conservatives. And I don't want a bunch of conservative films or, films. But I just want good films. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just good stories.
And we have them say decent things about society and try to help us be better people. But if you look at the films now, Angel is really, I think, leading the way on this.
Studios is
if you
awesome.
see some of the stuff that's coming, and I think we're right on the cusp. I started the Blaze, before Amazon and HBO were online. We were doing digital streaming at the Blaze, and it was a nightmare. Now, 12 years later, things are happening to where there is a community. You give it another 5 years, and we're not going to have to worry about Hollywood.
And it really just breaks your heart. I feel like so many people have come before me and fought this battle, and nobody was paying attention. So I really am honored to be in a position where people are paying attention right now, and to give respect to those people that came before me, those actors and everybody that was trying to break down the barriers for so long. It breaks my heart that, they didn't get justice. And so, I feel pretty fortunate, to be in the situation to help with that, because yes, in 5 years, it's going to be even better. And I'm excited to have just been at the beginning of this, just how I was at the beginning of women's mixed martial arts. I feel like I get to be the part of breaking ground here, and so I really hope this case is. I hope people pay attention to it and blow it out of the water, and just make sure that we're going to make it easier for the next generation and the people, the younger 100%. People behind me.
I have such great respect for you.
Things.
Thank you so much for coming on. You're welcome here anytime.
I have a lot of respect for you.
Best of luck to you. You bet.
Thank you so much.
I like what she said about God and trusting God with all this, and that I 100% agree that Disney still could turn this around. I'm a proponent of giving someone or some company even a second chance. or even a third chance or a fourth chance. Why? Because God does that with us. He is the type to where he's constantly reaching out to us and constantly saying, okay, you may be messed up, but come along. Yes, you've sinned, but I've forgiven your sin. Just pick yourself back up again and let me help you and come along with me. God is definitely a God of grace. And I honestly believe that companies and those individuals out there that are pushing this woke agenda ideology that in my mind is a cult and a religion, it's just like anything else. It's not designed that way by God. We're designed to follow Jesus Christ. We have a God-shaped hole in our heart, and it's only can be filled with him. And to fill it with all this other ideology and everything else is wrong. And do I believe that people can change, people can turn from their wicked ways and turn back? Yes, 100% I believe they can. I still believe that Disney and Lucasfilm with all this can still turn their company around. They can change what they're doing. They can go back to the way Walt Disney set up this company in the first place, to be a family-based type company. One that was trusted, just like what Glenn Beck was saying there, that he doesn't agree with the things that they're trying to push on his kids now. And even though my kids are no longer young anymore, my two boys are now young men. I still wouldn't want this content out there being affecting other kids and other families. And they used to be a brand that you could trust. And I just wish they'd get back to this. And who knows, maybe this with Gina Carano and the lawsuit with her and Elon Musk may wake up Disney to this, and maybe they'll change. I hope and pray that they do. Anyway, let's take a look at the document here that and I put a link down in the description also for this document as well. This is the actual lawsuit that I'm not going to read all this. I'm just going to go through a few highlights. I want to mainly show the post that's kind of started all this and so forth. I'm going to read the introduction, but this is Gina Carano, the plaintiff, versus Walt Disney Company, Lucasfilm, and Huckleberry Industries, which I don't even know they were Huckleberry Industries, but okay. It's part of the all same company, I guess. And here's the introduction. I think this is kind of funny and cool in a way. The lawyers that took this on for Gina Carano's lawsuit, they did this in a very Star Wars type way. I think it's kind of cool. Anyway, it says, introduction. A short time ago, in a galaxy not so far away, defendants made it clear that only one orthodoxy in thought, speech, or action was acceptable in their empire, that being Lucasfilm and Disney, and that those who dared to question or failed to fully comply would not be tolerated. And so it was with Carano. After 2 highly acclaimed seasons on The Mandalorian as Rebel Ranger Cara Dune, Carano was terminated from her role as swiftly as her character's peaceful home planet of Alderaan had been destroyed by the Death Star in an earlier Star Wars film. And all this because she dared voice her own opinions on social media platforms and elsewhere, and stood up to the online bully mob who demanded her compliance with their extreme progressive woke ideology. I added that woke in there. Defendants' wrath over their employees' social media posts also differed depending on sex. Even though the force is female, defendants chose to target a woman while looking the other way when it came to men. While Carano was fired, defendants took no action against male actors who took equally or more vigorous or controversial positions on social media, like Pedro Pascal and Mark Hamill even, or Pablo Hidalgo. By the rule of law still reigns over the defendant's empire, but the rule of law still remains over the defendant's empire, and Carano has returned to demand that they be held accountable for the bullying, discriminatory, and retaliatory actions. Actions that inflicted not only on substantial emotional harm, but millions of dollars in lost income. Okay, so here is the post that Gina Carano was canceled for. On February 10th of 2021, Gina Carano made the following post in light of the trending "Fire Gina Carano" to highlight the injustice of the mob seeking to destroy someone simply because of their political beliefs. And it says right here in this post, she said, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where the Third Reich soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is this any different from hating someone for their political views? And grant that's an extreme comparison, but it's also kind of on point. And I want to share here, this is the late Carl Weathers, R.I.P. Carl Weathers, who just recently passed away. He was on there as on The Mandalorian as well, and Gina Carano's male co-star. Here's what he actually posted to this. And I agree with the second post, definitely. Even Carano's male co-star, the late Carl Weathers, posted the exact same message. Now, he's a male actor, but no action was taken against him. It was taken against Carano, but not against him. Nor was Weathers accused by defendants of denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identity. On the 23rd of May in 2023, Carl Weathers puts, "Who gets to decide what is appropriate for me or my children to read?" The Nazis, or the Third Reich, knew both how to control and then eradicate. Interesting playbook to emulate. What's next? Who's next? Be peace. And actually, I have studied World War II. And one of the things that I don't claim to be an expert, but I know for a fact that when the Third Reich was trying to come into power, one of the things they did by doing that was to control what information was being given to the citizens at that time. It was a way of indoctrinating them, to feed them the stuff they want to feed, the propaganda, and to shape and mold the minds of the German people at that time. The second post, I love this. Carl Weathers reposted this from Barbara Hershey or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it says, it didn't start with gas chambers. It started with one party controlling the media, one party controlling the message, one party deciding what is truth, one party censoring speech and silencing opposition. Excuse me. One party dividing citizens into us and them and calling on their supporters to harass them. It started when good people turned a blind eye and let it happen. Now, this obviously was talking about what happened in Nazi Germany during World War II and the Third Reich coming into power. But if you were to read that without that context, that sounds very similar to what's kind of happening in America today, a little bit. Just saying. That they're trying to divide us and think about it. It's pretty simple. They're trying to put labels on us. That's what the pronouns are about. Whether or not you are, what your sexual orientation is. Are you transphobic? Are you transgender? They are dividing us. It doesn't bring us together. God sees us through colorblind glasses. God loves color. He doesn't see one color better than the other. Doesn't see one person better than the other. He sees everyone and loves us all the exact same and wants none of us to perish. It doesn't want us to divide each other, but instead to come together. Actually, one of my favorite verses in the Bible is that the disciples all got into were all in one accord back in Acts. I always think it's Honda Accord. That's a small car. They didn't have those back in Bible times, but nevertheless. Now, with us, we just saw Gina Carano's post. Take a look here at Pedro Pascal's post. And Disney Lucasfilm did nothing to Pedro Pascal or to Mark Hamill about this. Take a look at this. This is actually a post by Pedro Pascal. On August 16, 2017, Pascal made the following post, comparing President Donald Trump to Hitler. Let me zoom in on this. The 2017 post was not only the only time that Pascal compared President Trump and those who voted for him to the Third Reich. Take a look. On June 20, 2018, Pascal compared the United States response to those entering the country illegally to the concentration camps of the Third Reich, Germany, in the following post. Germany, 1944. America, 2018. This is from his iPhone on Twitter on June 20th, 2018. From Pedro Pascal. And once again, on November 17th, 2020, Pascal made the following post, only to delete it shortly thereafter. And My Nerdy Home actually reposted this. Shout out to Steph. Oh, wow. So Pedro Pascal 1 is trying to hide his hate by deleting this pic from his Instagram after Ryan Kennel made a video talking about it. The internet is forever. Sorry, check it out. And here's what he posted on his Instagram. Losers in 1865 with the Confederate flag. Talking about during the Civil War. Losers in 1945 and with the Third Reich flag. Losers in 2020 with the MAGA hat, the Trump hat. Defendants did not comment on or let alone condemn Pascal's social media comments. In other words, Disney Lucasfilm did nothing about this. They just let it stand. Take a look at this. Mark Hamill. In my mind, yes, he's a great Luke Skywalker, and he made a good Joker, but I don't think he's a very good human being. Because he even, a while back, wanted to have his granddaughter euthanized, aborted, before she was born. He was willing to pay for his, I think it's his son's girlfriend that was going to have a daughter, wanted to have her get an abortion. I don't know the whole story on that. I think that's the way it happened. All I know is every time I turn around, Gary from Neurotic is posting on Twitter to every one of Mark Hamill's posts saying, and what about happened to your granddaughter? I think she wanted to live. Anyway. Likewise, Star Wars star Mark Hamill posted his comparison of Americans who support President Trump with those of the Third Reich in September 18th, 2022 post. He says, I do a Nazi thing. Republicans against Trumpism. What do you see? This is from Mark Hamill's Twitter account. And once again, Disney did nothing about this post. This is, of course, is nothing new for Hamill, who from 2016 described Donald Trump as Vladimir Putin's puppet and the KKK's candidate. And they did nothing. And here's another one. It's not an official former guy item unless it contains at least one of the misspelling and a Third Reich imagery that is obviously official. He's comparing Trump's logo to Third Reich logo, I guess. And once again, Lucasfilm did nothing. They didn't comment on any of this. But yet they went after Gina Carano. It's wrong. It's not fair. If you're going to do it to one, you must do it to all. I don't think you should do it to anybody in the first place. And do I agree with a lot of these comments? No. Do I think they need to be that forceful? No. You can get your point across other ways. However, I grew up with the thought that two wrongs don't make a right. And the fact that they're going after Gina Carano for having freedom of speech, which with Elon buying Twitter, now known as X, that has been, it's not near as bad of a dumpster fire anymore. It has been better on the Twitter. You're not gone after as much. You're allowed to say what you want to a certain extent, as long as it's not hateful or violates TOS. But for them to go after someone for their thoughts for freedom of speech, but then not go after someone else who said something similar or even worse, because I think the stuff that Mark Hamill said is even worse than what Gina posted. Because Gina was not equating what happened to the Third Reich regime to what Republicans or Democrats or anybody else was happening, just stating the fact that this nation is starting to fight against each other and we need to come together. We need to stop before we get taken over from within. And I know for a fact that I don't believe 100% that God's happy about any of this. I don't believe this is God's intention or God's plan for mankind or even for penguin kind. God is a God of love, a God of mercy, God of grace. And I've said it before countless times that 2 Chronicles 7:14 really sums up what I believe 100%. That and let me, I don't have that open, but let me open up my Bible thing here. And I'll bring it up on the screen once I get the verse up, because I don't want to quote it, I want to read it. One of my all-time favorite verses in the Old Testament, and I believe wholeheartedly, wrong verse. All right, let me switch over here. It's 2 Chronicles 7:14. This reading out of the New American Standard. Actually, let me change that to my favorite version, the New Living Translation. And it says this. This right here, in my opinion, this would solve all of wokeness and pop culture and even politics. This would solve everything that's currently going on in America right now. 100%, I believe 110% that this would solve everything. Then, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and restore their land. There's the key right there. We want America to go back to being a great nation in this world, a God-fearing nation that this nation was founded upon in the first place by the founding fathers, because it's not that now. This country, America, is not a God-fearing country anymore. It's not. When Christians are even persecuted, I know, because I felt some of that persecution already, even before I started getting on YouTube. Where it clearly says right here that God's telling us, here's the simple solution. It's simple, but it's not easy. That if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, if all of us will humble ourselves before God, who's willing to forgive us, and we pray and seek God's face, and turn from our wicked ways, the way we're living right now. That's what the word repent means, is to literally turn. Do a 180-degree turn from the way you're living now to going a different direction. And in the computer world, this is an if-then statement. That's why I love it so much. If we do all this, then we will hear from heaven, we will hear from God, and God will forgive our sins. And then, more importantly, he will not only will he forgive our sins, but he will restore our land. He'll bring us back to a land that is a country that is respective of the people that live in it, they're respective of each other, that a united country. We are the United States of America, supposed to be, but I feel like here lately in the last few years, we are divided States of America, and that God can restore this country, and we can be the nation that God intended us to be in the first place. And I'm not getting political. I don't think that solution comes in one particular candidate or another. I think the answer comes in Jesus, and only Jesus only. He is the answer for our problems. He solves all the wokeness. He solves all this craziness that we're seeing going on in this world. That we look back, we turn on the news, or we read something on the internet, and we just scratch our heads going, how could this happen? 20 years ago, this wouldn't have been a thing. And it's because of the simple fact that wickedness and sin is running rapid in this country. It's a cancer. It's killing us as a nation. We need to go back to the way this nation was founded on biblical principles, founded on God and love for each other, and love for our fellow man and women, and penguins. Gotta love the penguins, baby! Not the fish so much. Flag them. Anyway, there you go. That's my thoughts for the day on the Gina Carano thing that happened this week. I will, once again, this won't be the last time I probably talk about Gina Carano, because if more developments come out, I definitely will be talking about her again. I am curious to see what will happen with this. I'd love to have your thoughts and put comments down there in this video and live stream, and let me know what you're thinking about all this. Because I really honestly want to know exactly how people feel about this, even if I don't agree with your stance on it. Nevertheless, that's the mature adult thing to do, is to have a conversation. It's about the conversation that needs to take place. Even if we don't agree, we can still walk away on friendly terms. So, as always, I'm the crazy geeky little penguin, and I'm out of here because I need to go slap a fish before the fish uprising happens. And I'm telling you right now, peoples, you don't want to see the fish uprising happen. They get crazy, they get stinky, they start throwing left shoes, which I don't know where the fish get shoes because they don't wear shoes. They swim around. But you know, they get all kind of crazy and everything. And next thing you know, they may be taking down YouTube and then posting weird pictures of them wearing the Groucho glasses on Twitter, and it's just pure chaos. I'm telling you right now, the fish uprising may be happening, and we got to stop it now, peoples. Anyway, I'm out. Catch you later, peeps, in the next one.